Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Daryl Urbanski, your host as always. And today we're thrilled to have Alan La, a multifaceted powerhouse. Not only is he a best-selling author and Hall of Fame martial artist, but he's also the visionary founder of Invincible Worldwide. Alan's mission is to empower professionals to connect with and inspire the youth in Genwise in this age of connection. With his groundbreaking initiatives like the Invincible Athletes Academy and the Achieve Anything Academy, he's transformed the lives of thousands in Sydney, teaching them martial arts, mental toughness, and life empowerment. Recognized for his impact, Alan has been honored with numerous awards, including a nomination for Young Australian of the Year. I've asked Alan to join us here today to share his journey and help us all unlock more of our potential. So Alan, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing, my friend?
Very good, Daryl. Thank you for having me as well.
Yeah, it's an honor and pleasure to have you here. It's taken a couple of attempts, but grit and determination are found bedrocks of martial arts. So we saw it through. But how did you even get into this? Like, how did you get started? Are your parents in martial arts and leadership? Is this like a family thing or?
Yeah, good question. Initially I was scared of martial arts. I remember I was growing up and I remember driving past a martial arts academy one day, and I was probably 6 years old, and I looked over and the kids were in the white gi and practicing before class or whatever outside the place. And I remember just seeing out through my parents' car window, one kid punched the other kid in the stomach, and he went down, and I was just scared. But when I was 12 years old, there was a neighbor that moved into our area, and he happened to do martial arts. So he said, "Oh, you want to go? I'll take you." And initially, I just thought, "Oh yeah, I'll just probably go and see what it's like." And my first day, I was hooked. It was I loved the intensity, I loved the training, and before I was training every day at home. Whatever I took in, whatever they were teaching, then I'd write down notes. I had a little notebook, and I write down, this is what I'm going to practice every day: these push-ups, these punches, these strikes, these kicks. And then fast forward a year, 2 years later, felt myself improving faster than almost everybody in the class. And at that time, the class was only once a week, every Saturday. And I was asking everybody, "How often do you guys train?" And they're like, "Oh, sorry, I've got a cat here."
Okay.
They say, "We only train once a week. We only rock up to this session, and we
Right.
train every." And I was like, "Wow!" I didn't realize that, because you grow up, you see the martial arts movies, and there's those intense training sessions that you go in your little cave and you hustle out. That's what I did every day. So I used to train 5 days a week, plus the extra day on Saturdays, 6 days, roughly about 2-3 hours a day. It was just during school, so 2 hours before school, 2 hours after school, and I loved it. And 2-3 years later, I found my sense of identity. This is me. I really enjoy this, and the fire was born from there.
I love that. I love all things grit and perseverance. And we took our daughter out of ballet.
Yeah.
She's doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and we took her out of ballet mostly because they only did 2 classes a week, and there was no option to get more. And they did a couple of shows, and I was like, my daughter's turning 5 in a couple of days at the time of this recording. And so you don't expect the little kids to be super polished in that, but even the adults, it was like they knew what to do. But you're going to understand exactly what I mean. There was no finesse in the technique. Like, they did the technique, but like the details, holding something without wobbling, the little things that take just time under tension. And I just watched it, and I'm not a Hall of Famer by any regards. My mom says I'm great, but I just knew it was just a lack of reps. It was a lack of time. It was a lack of practice. It was a lack of that. So I love that. So everybody was doing the 1 day a week. You were putting in 5 times a week, 2-3 hours a day. Over a couple of years, you're progressing. So what happens next? Walk us through your career path.
Okay, so my career started. So when I was young, I was a shy kid, a really shy kid. I could never speak in front of anybody. You put me from a group, I'd shake, and I lacked confidence. And I always thought martial arts would give me the confidence, so I dove into it. I always thought martial arts was going to give me those, especially when you go to the dojos, you think, oh, you're going to see these role models that you look up to. But I didn't get that. Growing up, I saw martial arts as, if you're a martial artist, you're like this knight in shining armor. You're like You have values, you have honor, you have respect, you have physical skills, you're amazing, but you also have these character. So when you watch these old kung fu movies, they were
Right.
heroes.
Right.
So I always imagine that's how martial arts should be like. But the problem was, whenever I looked around, even my instructors and some, when you go to the parties, they were still shy themselves. They weren't the most confident. Physically, they were confident, but socially, emotionally, I feel like something was lacking. And during the same time, roughly about 12 years old, my parents put me into these life skills programs, like motivational programs, and they taught me stuff that I never you don't learn in school, like goal setting and life skills. And it was very expensive. I remember there was a 2-day program. It was $2,000 at that time. So fast forward now, that's probably 3.5K.
Right.
Really expensive. And my parents said to me, if you really want to go to this, we'll take you, but just remember everything, write everything down. Just, because we weren't the most well-off family. My parents came from Vietnam as first generation immigrants, but they wanted the best for me. They wanted to give me everything they could, and so they said, yeah, this is really expensive, but if this is something you want to do, and I think it's good for you, we're going to take you. And that 2-day program changed my life. And the mentors, I still can keep in contact with them today. They changed my life. So there was one moment that, as part of that program, they told us to write down three goals. Write down 3 goals that you want to achieve in the next few years. And at 12, 13 years old, I didn't know what I wanted. It took me a while to figure out. So I wrote my first goal to get a backflip. I thought it wouldn't be cool, but by the time I graduate year 12, I go up on stage, shake the principal's hand, and do a backflip on stage. I thought that'll be pretty cool. So I wrote that down. And then my next goal, I wrote down, because I was an average kid, and Asian parents, they always want you to do well in school. So I wrote down, I want to get, I think, about 85% in my exams. And my third goal, looking around at my teachers, so I thought, I want to earn probably $20 an hour by the time I'm 20. So I thought that would be pretty cool. So my mentor, I remember, he came down, looked over my shoulders, over my goals. He paused for a second and he says, Alan, put his hand on my shoulders, and he says, Alan, remember this, life will pay you exactly what you ask for, right? So life will pay you exactly what you ask for. So he says to me, the first goal, the backflip, cool, keep that, that's totally fine. The second goal, instead of writing 80%, let's go to 95%. And I'm looked at him like, you're insane. Like, I've never ever achieved over 90 in my life. Second goal, let's at least double it, right? Let's go $50 an hour. This was many years back then, and I was young. I looked at him, I was like, I don't know. I didn't, that feeling where someone's told you something and you're like, I don't think I can. Yep. And he says, if you just follow everything that I say for the next few years, you'll achieve. And I did. Everything they told me to do, everything I followed exactly. So a week before graduation in year 12, I actually got my backflip. It wasn't the best backflip, it was sloppy, but I got the backflip. You got it, yeah. I got the backflip. So a week before graduation, so I did that, and it was one of the best days of my life. It was amazing. Second goal, I finished my exams. I was creeping up from 80 to 85. I was hitting a ceiling of 90 throughout the final year. And eventually I hustled hard and I found a way, and I've achieved 98 in my... Fantastic. So in Australia, we call it HSC or UAI. I'm not sure what you guys call it in the US. But yeah, and then by the time I was 20, I was earning about $63 an hour. And then that compounded over years. And these days we do 1 hour programs and we charge $2,500. Like, it's my point of saying that is I learned goal setting at a very young age. And for the last 20 years of my life, there's not one day that I don't read my goals. Morning and night, I read my goals. I was pushing myself. So many years ago, I set a goal to write a book by the age of 27. And that book got launched, and I was fortunate enough to have a good following on social media. And then we launched it, and we hit #1 bestseller. And then a couple of years ago, I wrote a goal to open up a training facility that I wanted it to be almost like a tourist attraction. I remember I wrote this goal down with my team. I want to create this training center that if people were to come to Australia or Sydney, they come to us instead of just to go to see the Opera House or the Harbour Bridge. Right. So we opened the HQ in 2015, and exactly 1 year later, I had an email from these 2 boys in Germany. They say, hey, Alan, I've been following you from YouTube and I love what you do. Can we come and train with you guys for 6 weeks? And at first, we get quite a few emails from different countries and saying, "Oh, we love what you do" and stuff. And I didn't think much of it. And then 3 months after that email, I got a phone call and it says, "Hey, Alan, we're about
coming.
to, we're coming." So, do you think you can pick us up from the airport, or where should we stay? What do we do? And so, are you serious? You're coming? I was so honored that I drove to the airport, picked them both up, and brought them to HQ, and they loved it. From a 6-week trip, they ended up staying for eight months. They found
Wow.
where and they loved it. And yeah, and eventually they did go to see the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge, but initially they came just for us. And then a few years later, we had a couple other people, more from Germany, another one from Canada, and yeah, so we just
Go Canada.
yes,
I
yeah.
want. This is a bit of a sidebar. What part of Vietnam are you from? I've lived all over. I was in Hanoi. And...
My parents are from Saigon.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Which district? Which district? No. That's
I
okay. That's
I
okay.
don't
It's
know.
okay. Okay. No worries. Just curious. So this is fantastic. It's a great story. Super happy for you. Is it
Thank
that
you.
simple? You just write down your goals and read them every morning and night, and it just happens?
It's a big part of it. I think my mentors always said to me, if you want to achieve something great, first off, you need to begin with the end in mind. When I teach goal setting to people, I think most people start setting their goals where they are now, like I did when I first started. So this is where I am. Where do you think I can be in 12 months from now? So my mentors always said with me, begin with the end in mind, and we work backwards. Eliminate where you are now, forget where you are now. If a genie came and gave you a wish, if anything is possible, dream big, 10x, what would be amazing? So for me, coming up from a random kid who was getting 60, 70% in school and creeping up to become a bestseller, I wouldn't have thought
Right.
that. I
Right.
just kept hitting that limit. So
I love that. And I think there's a valid point to that in terms of you have to do it for yourself. No one is coming to save you. And I think this is a really important message. I was sitting with my wife yesterday. So we have our own separate businesses. And I was trying to map out how to do $1 million sales plan, a $250,000 sales plan.
yeah.
And we were with some people and they're like, just AI this, AI that. Listen, I love AI. I'm using it. I have staff. We're coding, we're building and integrating AI with everything that we do. You still need to save yourself, because I'm asking this thing, give me a 3-year plan to do $1 million in sales. Sorry, 3 month, 3-month plan to do $1 million sales. And it's giving me the most not plausible. Okay. But it's put 10,000 people on a webinar. Oh, you'll just put 10,000 people on a webinar and convert 10%. Really? I'm going to convert 10% of 10. I'm going to get 10,000. How much is it going to? It was so nonsense. It was such nonsense when I was like, why aren't you just doing the simple stuff? Make 20 sales at 4,200 a month. You're doing a service for a company, like just simple. So anyways, begin with the end in mind. I love how you said that, because I was like the goal, the time frame. Anyways, because then it would also give us like, do this, do that, do SEO, do paid ads. I'm like, is it realistic to do this many small things? And even the AI knew it was like, no, it's not realistic at all to do this. There's so many things.
And that adds on to a point, Daryl, where it's all about fundamentals, right? Like it's whether it be business, whether it be martial arts training, it's fundamentals. But I think everyone likes the shiny objects, and everyone like, what's new? What's the fastest way to get there? You master your basics, your foundation strong, things will stack on. It's a compounding of.
So what would you recommend to someone who's starting out and struggling in business?
In business, I'm actually launching a coaching program for school owners at the moment who are struggling. And I was mapping this out. I was trying to figure out, when I was starting out, when I was at 10K a month, trying to get to 20, 30, 40, 50K a month, what was my biggest struggles? And I mapped out, there are 3 things that you got to master first to be able to scale up. And 3 things I realized I really needed to scale. Particularly for us, we're essentially a membership business. So we sell products, but that's not our primary focus. We're a membership business. And first pillar is you need to learn how to attract people. You got to have a strong brand. You got to have strong systems to be able to get people in, be able to convert them, and not so much sell to them. I've never liked the idea of selling to people and trying to, people say, oh, you got to sell this to people and handle objections and send proposals or whatever. I've always thought if you build a great product, people come. However, that was a mistake. You build a great product, people won't come. You need to build a great product, but you also need to show the great products to people, right? So that's one thing that really propelled me is I made sure, number one, we had a great product. You know, if you don't have a great product, or the market, you won't have a sustainable business. So we built a great product. I'd spent many years perfecting. I'm passionate about martial arts. So I made sure the stuff we teach is quality. I made sure every member that comes to us, they're taken care of. But I think what a lot of people lack is the ability to capture the magic of what you do and showcase it to the world. So many years ago, I started making show reels of our classes, and I just put on YouTube. I thought it was cool. I wasn't a market, it wasn't a strategy or anything. I just thought, I'm really loving the vibe that we have in our classes. I'm really loving the energy. I love our members. I love our team. I love everything about it. So I thought, I want to capture this for memories. So then I started filming all our classes, us teaching, me teaching, and I put together like a little cool show reel just as memories. And I put it on YouTube and it blew up. It became viral. And our YouTube hit, I think we're on 13 million hits on YouTube at the moment. Wow. With 87,000 subscribers. And that blew up. Like that kind of just brought the awareness to us. So number one, I think it's the ability to attract. And as part of my coaching program as well, I'm also added, I realized not only do you need to attract them, but you also need to show them how the product is a good fit for them as well. So that comes to your ability to understand the product to market fit, understanding your audience, understanding your customers. So every customer comes into us, we know their pains, we know their frustrations, we know more about them than they do themselves. That's because we've done our research. And that's because we do that because we care, not because we're trying to sell them anything. We want to create a product that suits them, their needs, that solves their problems, solves their frustrations. So then by the time they come to the program, it's, hey, this program, it helps me with this pain, it helps me improve this flexibility, it helps me this. Perfect, sign me up. That's the first pillar, is the ability to attract people and then convert them. The second struggle I see a lot of people do, especially in membership business, is you may be able to get a whole bunch of people in, but you might have a leaking bucket. So members are canceling, members are leaving, or they're not getting the value that they want. I think the ability to take care of your members and meet expectations, but also exceed them, and just create a culture where they're looked after. If people feel like they're looked after and they're taken care of, they're seen, they're heard, they're celebrated, they're recognized, I think people want to stay. And then the third pillar, as you grow your business, eventually you don't want a job. You know, you don't want to build a business, and because as an entrepreneur, just starting out, you're 24/7 in that. You're thinking about it 24/7. You're on it 24/7. And if you have to do operations as well, you have to do admin, you have to do a whole bunch of stuff, and you get stuck. And so you can't elevate yourself above to better grow your business. You're just in there all the time. And I was there for many years. And eventually that leads to burnouts. So then the third pillar is the ability to lead people and build a team that helps you move your mission forward. And that's about creating systems, building the right team at the right time as well, having an org chart, also building the core values and missions, and so that everyone aligns with what you want to achieve. So those are three pillars that I think is very important as you're starting out.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's important to illustrate. So I may or may not have told you, I know it's taken some time for us to get this interview done, but I spent 50 grand to hire 10 assistants to help me go through all the academic literature on business success. Because I've helped people achieve relative different levels of success, but I also had people that had struggles I didn't anticipate. Like one client, we added $1 million to her bottom line, and the IRS almost took her out. And that was something like it's not that she wasn't doing her taxes, it's that her accounting systems for around $1 million was not good enough for doing $2.6 million. And it's when the IRS, when you're that big, they come knocking. So the other thing, so one of the things that we discovered when it came to marketing and sales, which is what you're talking about, attracting people, is it has to be intense networking and advertising. Whether it's for you, it was content marketing, that's fine. But what I wanted to stop for a second to illustrate for people was it took you 13 million. First off, this is a huge achievement. Hats off to you. I'm not throwing shade in any way. My point is that it took 13 million views to get 87,000 subscribers. That's the message I want people to understand, the intensity. And it's because people would watch it and be like, this is great. But then because you're geographically based, they go, oh, but it's not for me. Like they would watch it, they would follow, like you said, you have other people in other countries. I don't want to speak to you. And if I'm wrong, let me know. But I feel like just the intensity for you to build that large of a following to help thousands of people in Sydney, you would have intense exposure in general. And I think that's something I just really wanted to hit home for people, because we talked about how you went to you would go, your friends were going training 1 day a week when the class was there, but you're going 5 times a week, 2-3 hours per day. I talked to a lot of people and they're like, oh, my growth strategy is I just get referrals every now and then. And they're struggle bunnies. You know what I mean? They're just struggling. Whereas, for example, one of my clients, I'm helping them set up a team where each team member is contacting 200 plus people per day. You know what I mean? Because that's different people, different models. But the point is that the intensity that people don't realize it takes. And I love what you say, it's not about selling ice to Inuit or Eskimos. We used to call them Eskimos, but that's now politically incorrect because it means meat eater, raw meat eater, I think. Inuit means snow people. So it's not about selling ice to Inuit people. It's about really, like you talked about, just really showcasing like a great product, having people raise their hands and helping them determine if it's a fit for them or not. I think that's a really great way to say it. You almost have to think about when you buy shoes. Let's say you go and you go to the store clerk. First, you have to talk about the problem. My shoes are falling apart. They're rubbing my feet. I have a problem. What do you need? They're slippery and I like to go hiking. And now they're rubbing my feet on a long hike. I get all these blisters and they're slippery. They don't grip well. I need a shoe first to identify the solution. I need a shoe that fits and is comfortable and has good grip and is not slippery. And the store clerk would then offer you options. Which of these do you want to choose from? It's not any ninjutsu, say these 7 words and twiggle your fingers and they just open their wallets. None of that stuff. And just people have to understand that it's just the grind that it can be to help a lot of those people. And having a great product is not necessarily enough. I think that was really fantastic. What for you was some of the biggest challenges that you faced in growing to where where you are now?
I think every stage of your business, you have challenges. The challenge every stage. When I was starting out, actually, I can tell you a story when I was starting out. When we first started our martial arts place, I was hiring like a local community hall, and it was a rundown hall. It was like where the windows are broken and the basketball rings falling off and it's the paint's peeling and stuff. But it was the very first time that I had a place that was big, because I started teaching martial arts in my parents' garage.
Right.
So you can fit probably max 7 people, and so it was tiny. And
how old were you when you were teaching your parents' garage? Sorry.
I started teaching after high school, so I was about 17, 18 years old.
17, 18.
That was my first time teaching. And yeah, it was small. So then one day, one of my students was like, oh, Alan, this is getting small. I found this place where, near my community. And I reckon you'll love it. It's the best place ever. It's massive. You're going to get so many students. It's going to be awesome. So he's pumping me up. And the first time I drove there, like I said, it was a rundown place. As an entrepreneur, when you're starting out, when you walk into a space and potentially you're like, wow, like you get excited. I was excited.
The vision.
Yeah, I was like, man, I can make this work. So I got really excited. And so we started teaching there, opening classes. And at first it was just my current students. It was probably 5 students. Max we reached was 10. I remember celebrating, we hit double digits. We got 10 people in the class, but we plateaued for a while. And I used to remember dreaming. When you have a vision, you sometimes dream at nighttime. You get in bed, you're dreaming. I remember having a dream of having 50 people in my class, and I'm walking between the students, high-fiving them, and I woke up and, oh man, that was a dream. That'd be so cool to have. And so we had 10 students, and oftentimes what I do was I had a couple of students that were been there with me for a while, and I'd take them with me to assist as well. I come home from uni, I get changed, pick up my assistants or students, and then we'll go teach an amazing class. So that was the game plan. And so we did that for a while. I remember there was one day I'll never forget. It was a raining day, came home from uni, it was all wet, and I got changed. And I received a text from my assistants. They say, "Hey, Alan, yeah, sorry, we got homework today. We can't make it." I'm like, "Oh, that's okay. That's all right. That's fine." I still got in my car, I drove to the community hall, and I'm pumped. I'm excited. We got some new equipment, we got some new ladders, and I'm ready to roll out to show everyone. And even if I didn't have assistants, I'm like, that's okay. I'm still pumped. I got there, and so at that time, our class was about 10 people. I got there, opened the doors, unlocked the doors, and it came in. And there was no one there. That's totally fine. So I started setting up the ladder, setting up the obstacle course, and getting all pumped. And I looked at my watch. So class starts at 7. Got there at 6:30. So normally about 6:50 there's people there. There was only anyone there at that time. So 7 o'clock comes along, and I'm looking around. There's no one there, and the rain's coming on hard and stuff. And I'm thinking, oh, maybe they're just late. Traffic, whatever. It's raining. 7:15, still no one there. All right. So you start thinking, oh, all right, maybe I'll give it a little bit more time. Maybe they're a bit late. 7:30. Thoughts start creeping in. What am I doing? Is this worth it? Like, I'm putting so much effort into this. Is it worth it? It's 7:45. And I'm sitting in the middle of the whole court, the whole hall, and just cross my legs and just head down and thinking, and these thoughts come. They're like, Alan, what are you doing? You put so much heart and soul into this idea or this class and into these people, they don't even appreciate it. Even assistants are not here. Like, your students are not rocking up. Like, is it worth it? And all these thoughts came. They even, you start to think, oh, maybe my parents are right. Maybe my friends are right. You're trying to do this thing. You got no business background, or you got no idea what you're doing, and you're trying to chase this thing. And what hurt me the most is the fact that I was so passionate about this idea. So I put heart and soul into this 24/7. I was in uni at that time, and I'd be drawing in back my lecture notes, these class plans, and no one appreciated, saw the value. So I sat there, 8 o'clock rolls around, still no one. I was empty. But then as I was thinking all these feelings, another voice came in and says, you know what? As long as I don't give up, this journey is going to be long. It's going to be tough. As long as I don't give up, giving up is a choice. As long as I don't give up, I'm good. That's all I need. From here on in, this is probably the worst I can feel. As long as I don't give up, I'm good. And then, yeah, since then, the next week, we got back to about 5 students, and we start growing. Then eventually, yeah, these days we hit 50 students in one class easy. I'm walking around high-fiving, and that dream many years ago, it's a reality now. Right. But I think it's the idea of, in those tough times, as an entrepreneur, you have doubts. Right. You have voices. And just make a promise to yourself not to give up. I think that's the key.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are on that seesaw of getting customers, like you talked about, getting people, keeping them, and then having systems in place, because you don't scale. Success is a team sport, and as one person, there's only so many hours in a day. And when you go through the drive-through of your favorite whatever fast food restaurant, although you shouldn't be because it's bad for you, they're not like, sorry, Sally's sick today, drive-through's closed. They've got systems in place, and they have a roster of people to serve a community. I think that's a really important lesson there, is that's a huge thing. All a company is a group of people that solve the pain of another group of people, and they do it via a product or service. So I ran a school for a few years, and so when you tell that story, I know exactly how that feels. Like, I was mopping the mats, you're doing everything, and then nobody shows, and you're so committed, you're there. Or the days when you're locking up, and you're just like, why am I doing this? And one of my mentors said, what you need to do is you need to delegate as much as you can. So you're calling the shots, analyzing the stats, and copywriting. That's what he said. And now I would update that to say you need to delegate and automate as much as you can. So you're calling the shots, analyzing the stats, and communicating, because you got to communicate with your customers, with your staff, with your vendors. You got to communicate a lot. A big part of this, like you talked about, was the leading teams and creating systems. You can make a system, you can plan it out, but if you're not communicating it and inspecting it and repeating it, then they aren't doing it. When you look up the word entrepreneur in the dictionary, it says a person who organizes a business venture. It doesn't say the person who mops the floors, cleans the toilets, does the accounting, does the lead gen, closes the sales, right? That's not what it says. It says a person who organizes an end result for people. And I think that's a really powerful lesson for people to hear right now. What are some of the greatest mistakes people making?
I see people making.
Talk to your friends that have businesses. What are some of the biggest mistakes?
Honestly, I'd say I've seen many businesses. I've been doing in business for 15 years now, and I've seen many businesses come and go. But I've seen many friends say, "Oh, I'm gonna start this business," and they probably go for 1 or 2 years and then disappears. And I think you got to get your purpose right. I think you have to really know why you're in business, because there will be tough times. There will be times when it's really tough. And I think if you're just in it for the money, there are plenty of other things you can do. I think your purpose has to be bigger than just financial. Finance will be great once you get it. But if you just solely focus on the short term, you might make the wrong decisions. And I think since day one, my mission has always been the same: to empower people to be physically, mentally, emotionally, socially extraordinary. Nothing else matters. Everything else falls behind that. So every decision I make for the long term is for our purpose, for the bigger purpose. Any person who comes into our care, whether it be for the martial arts or for business coaching, I want to help them elevate their life. I want their life to be better. I want them to be better. And I think everything else falls from that. Whereas I'd see a lot of other people, they say, yeah, I want this because this is going to give me the most return. This is going to give me the most money. And I think your decision-making gets tainted.
Yeah, you can't take it with you. You can't take it with you. I remember the first day I cashed a $25,000 check. It was just normal day. It was just normal day. I got a bonus for a lot of money I'd helped some people make. And I went to the bank and I deposited the check. And I went and got my normal protein shake. Bought like a $10 hat and a $20 pair of shoes. And I just went down to the beach, which was my normal routine. Like I wasn't any different. The only difference was mentally, I wasn't worried about end of the month, right? Yeah. That was the biggest difference. Money solves all problems. A lack of money creates. That's true. But it doesn't change you. It doesn't change anything. If you're a jerk, you'll just be a bigger jerk. If you're a good person, you'll be a bigger person. People who win the lotteries, I think more people who win the lottery go bankrupt than who win the lottery and stay rich. It's because they have terrible money habits anyhow. So because you give them a lot of money, even though they were broke before, this is the thing, when I came forward, no one is coming to save you. You have to you just have to shape yourself, your character, and fix this stuff. I feel like life and business are very Shakespearean. Or like in Shakespeare, all the main characters fall victim to their biggest flaws. And I think it's like this: someone wins the lottery, but because they handle money terribly, they have a great couple of years. Okay. But then they're still broke afterwards. And I think that's a really important. I want to highlight a couple of things that you said. First off, we talked about, again, everybody else was doing 1 day a week. You were doing 5 times a week, 2-3 hours a day. You've been in business for 15 years. That means that you've got your 10,000 hours, your 10,000 iterations. That you look at your goals twice a day, every day. That you're looking to play long-term games with long-term people. That you're not trying to sell or push things, and it's not about the money. You're really just trying to have a great product or service, show off your great product or service, and show people how the product or service could be a fit for them, right? And obsessing about taking care of the people that you've got, the retention. I know you say you're in a membership business. I feel like all businesses need to think of themselves as membership businesses. If I get my morning coffee every day, I'm basically a member, right? I think that's part of why Starbucks has the whole name writing thing on the cup. Because in the staff, it's not even for the one-timers, it's for the regulars. So the staff remember the regulars' names because they're basically members. And I think these are some powerful lessons. And then we talked about having to build a team, lead a team, and create systems. Org chart, values, mission, because you don't scale, but people do. Are there any daily or weekly habits that you feel really help you on your path to success? We've talked about some, we've danced around others, but to really hit the nail on the head, are there any specific daily, weekly habits that you think are mission critical? Mission critical. I think as an entrepreneur, it's important to find your own me time, silence. I saw this YouTube video the other day where this guy was saying you need 3 silences. Silence of the mind, which is you learn to quiet your mind through meditation or whatever, just quiet the mind. Silence of, I think, the heart, where if you have negative emotions, where you're feeling angst and whatever, allow that to sink and just let it flow through you and just feel the emotions and let the emotions feel them.
And the third one is silence of the soul, which is where you need quiet time. You need to spend time. I spend half an hour in the morning by myself, locked in my own room, and I just stay quiet. Not really meditating, but just allowing the thoughts to sink. And then whatever answers will come through, will come through. And that's the silence of the soul. And that's helped me so many times in making the right decisions, in being able to finish a certain project in the right way, or get an answer for what I should do, take a certain direction with the business. I think definitely spending time on a daily basis to just get rid of the noise.
I love that. Silence is as much music as noise is, because without the pauses, it would just be bad. There would be no melody. And I think that's important too, because especially in our instant world of gadgets and instant gratification, it's tough. It's like a yin yang thing, I think, where when you're learning a skill and knowledge, you need to just pack your head with as much knowledge as you can. And it's almost like how when coal gets pressed and turns into a diamond, you just pack so much knowledge in there. These little gems come out at times when you need them, but you need the silence for them to, it's almost, you need the silence in order for those ideas to flow. I think that's a really powerful one. Yeah. Where do you think things are headed in the future? There's a lot happening in the world, geopolitically, economically. We're post-COVID now. Some, myself included, feel that there may be an unelected body that is imposing an agenda of theirs on the world. What are some of the trends that you're trying to pay attention to over the next 5 to 10 years? What do you think is coming down the pipeline that you're trying to be on top of and ahead of the curve on, that maybe the audience should think about as well?
Yeah, I think AI is a big thing. It's going to change the world, the way internet changed the world many years ago. So I think AI is a big thing. And I try to stay on top of what's going on. But at the same time, it's very easy to get into the rabbit hole and you feel anxiety and fear and so on. There's even people predicting like the next war is coming and there's crisis. And it's, you see it play out. But I think all you can do is control what's around you.
Yes.
Inside you, and just prepare yourself as much as you can. I think that's where you focus on what you can control. So I can control my skills, I can control my brain, my knowledge, my learning new skills, I control my health, I control my minds. And I think if you just can take care of yourself, control that, and minimize trouble, minimize drama, minimize in your life, that will allow you to be most efficient, most effective. When something happens, something goes down, you're ready. But the more you're caught up with drama and negativity and gossip, and I think it's what drags most people down. And it's what's causing a lot of chaos in our world, where people just, they're very opposing other people and they're very there's hate and there's violence. And I think if you just look after yourself, be the best version that you can be, and help whoever you can help. And just love wherever you can. And I think if we just keep striving to become better ourselves, and we'll focus less on what other people are doing, what other people are doing to us, or what, just you focus less on the external stuff, then your life will elevate, and hopefully that will make the world better as well.
Yeah, I like that. I actually wrote that down earlier. You really seem to do business with love, and I think that's a really important. It's a really important. I wrote that down way earlier in the call when you were talking, the way you were talking. Because I think that is so important. Even if you don't have an ethical bone in your body, even if deep down you're just some sinister being, if you're trying to survive long-term in business, the only way you're going to is loving on your customers, loving on your staff, loving on your vendors, loving them all more than anybody else does. I think that's a real, that's real. That's like real world real. Doing business with love and having that in your heart, because we've all done business with people that we don't feel care about. That's the biggest thing, right? People pick up on that. A lot of our communication is nonverbal, and people pick up, this person's just trying to sell me something. There's no real love there. And I think that's a really important one.
It's something you take to your grave. And it goes back to that idea, growing up, the martial artist. To me, I want to be the kind of person in this world that does good, is honorable, is righteous, and is standing up for what's right. I think there's a lot of people out there that are unethical and they're shady and stuff. You just focus on doing good and you stay away from those people. And I think, and try to be the example for them as well, because that's long-term success. You look at any long-term success, what thrives is that doing the right thing, having
Yeah.
that love, having if you cut people off, if you're shady and stuff, people find out. It's
Yep.
the world we live in. You
Right.
can't.
Whether you're religious and you believe that we have an immortal soul, or you think we're about to have a singularity event and achieve immortality, doesn't matter. On an immortal's timeline, what would be the trophies that they would put on their mantle?
Yeah, that's right.
What would be the things that they were proud of? Would it be the times that they fell to their base instincts and fought
Yeah,
over pennies? Or the
exactly.
time that they elevated and rose above and did something? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, I love that. I love that. I love that. Prepare. The will to win is the will to prepare. You said that. I also agree that focusing on outcomes is super important. I feel like that's happened so much politically lately. The left this, the right that, Black Lives Matter, this, that. I just think it really, I think some ways it's just like misdirection, distraction. It's making the guy look at your left hand when you're about to kick him in the face with your right foot, in the sense of people aren't focused on what's the outcome that we want. I think if everyone sat down and had a discussion about what the outcomes we wanted to be, all this tribalism nonsense would fall away. And I really do. I think it's just a big psyop in some respects, where it's just, what is the ultimate goal? Let's keep the end in mind. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Al, this has been a great call. I've got a couple pages of notes. People listening probably do as well. They may want to go back and listen again. Is there anything I haven't asked you about that I should have asked you about?
I'm open to any questions and want to help. Like I came in, like I said to you earlier, I came into this call wanting to give as much value. For me, I don't take people's attention for granted. I don't take people's time for granted. I want to, if I'm on a call with you, I want to give as much as I can. Any questions you have, and if anyone's got any questions, feel free to reach out to me as well on social media or email, whatever.
Yeah. What are some of the best ways to reach out? Is invincibleworldwide.com?
Yep, that's our website, invincibleworldwide.com, or on Instagram. A lot of people do message me on Instagram. So it's LANLA worldwide, or Invincible Worldwide as well. So yeah, you can reach out, ask any questions.
Alan, this has been so good. I love it. My brother from another mother. For those that want to find out more, they want to check him out, you can look him up on social media, Alan La, ALANLA, or go check out invincibleworldwide.com, INVINCIBLEWORLDWIDE, Invincible Worldwide. Alan, thank you so much for joining us. It has been an honor and a pleasure. Thanks for coming and sharing with my audience and I, knowing that you have your own community, your own following, your own staff, your own people to take care of. Thank you for coming and sharing with us.
Thank you. Oh, let's take a photo. I'm gonna take a selfie for you.
Yeah, okay, do it.
All right. So you can see, you'll probably see my cat. My cat's been sitting behind the
whole time. That's okay. I got cats too.
You can see.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
Awesome.
Thank you,
It's been
Alan.
a pleasure, Daryl.